Welcome back and thanks for keeping it the odds. Remember, the odds is brought to you by betting. If you haven't registered, simply SMS the word Mariga to 29456. Bet in Kenya, bet nasi, cheza nasi, bet nasi. Well, let's head on to the next game. Leicester City versus Manchester United, being played on Sunday at 5:05 at the King Power Stadium. And Leicester have the ability to upset the big teams, as we saw during the midweek. But they're coming up against a side they haven't beaten in the last 5 games.
Yes, and aside, let's also not forget to mention that have not been beaten by anyone in the last 9. So this is a Manchester United side that is very, very formidable. And this is a Leicester side that is looking like one of the best teams in terms of form in the league right now. And they did some really good transfer business, shipping away Adrian Silva, who had barely played this whole season, and bringing in young Monaco starlet Yuri Tielemans, I think, in what for me was the shock deal of this whole transfer.
I know you're happy about that transfer because you love that lad.
No, I think there's a phrase we usually
I can
say.
see that smile in your
There's a
face.
phrase we usually say here in Kenya, and it is kama mtu anaijua, anaijua.
Talanta ni kama mimba.
That really translates to our English speakers there. If somebody is knowledgeable in football, they are knowledgeable. And that is something you can see Yuri Tielemans doing, because he played almost every game at the World Cup for Belgium in that central midfield berth. He's versatile, he plays football in a manner that is conducive and aesthetically pleasing. But him aside, you also look at the Manchester United side. They made their own big signing, because for me, tying down Martial to a new 5-year contract is like a new signing for Manchester United. Remember, this is a player who had a huge impasse at the beginning of the season, and everybody was expecting him to leave. And he's not even been at the best of his form, but he's already almost in double figures in terms of goals and assists. So with the new coach and the new motivation and the new contract, Manchester United probably might have unlocked the next step in this boy's career. And it will be a very, very, very good first game for us to watch. The first game after the transfer window for both of these teams, because they've done, I think, an outstanding piece of work in the last 1 or 2 months.
United being scored is quite inevitable, and they have leaked, and 79% of their games have ended with both teams to score. Do you think we can get something like that here?
I'll just talk about the game between Everton and Leicester. Pre-match, Vardy was talking about how they limit the number of chances that Everton gets, but he's sure they'll get one chance, and if it comes his way, he'll score. After the match, we know what had happened. Everton really tried to get a goal. They couldn't break down that midfield partnering between Ndindi and Mendy. I don't know whether they're going to tinker with that and play their new signing because of the name, the big name that's coming in, or they'll hold him off until a further notice. Because for me, you never change a team that is performing. And to be honest, Leicester have been performing. Albeit not at their best, because you know their best is title winning, but they have this kind of play that you just feel that if you don't score fast against them and they happen to score fast, then you're in for trouble. They have proved that they're the kind of team that if you have to beat them in the first half, because when it gets to first half and they are leading, or if they're not leading, it's 0-0, then you're in for a very big second half. It seems like their team talks are always fiery for them. But they're coming up against a revamped Manchester United that, to be honest, teams are fearing playing against, especially when you look at the attacking talent and speed and accuracy that's is inbuilt in that forward 5. I think you should even say forward 7, because you just feel the people who have not been coming up. It's just when Bailey is playing, and Luke Shaw has not been that good when he's attacking, because at the moment Ashley Young has a couple of assists. You look at Lindelof with that last-minute equalizer against Burnley, but they really need to sort out their defense. If they don't do that, then they might be in for a shock against Leicester.
Steve, can Leicester get a goal here?
I don't think Leicester getting a goal is something that is a matter of question. Leicester will score against Manchester United.
So a goal will suffice here?
A goal will suffice, because remember the first game of the season, Manchester United at Old Trafford Leicester still did get a goal, that Vardy goal that made the game end at 2-1. So Leicester is capable of scoring. Vardy loves Manchester United for more than one reason. Remember, he broke the Premier League consecutive goals record by Ruud van Nistelrooy, a Man United player, against Manchester United in the season that they won the Premier League.
That 5-3.
No, not the 5-3. It was a 1-1 draw. In the season that they won the Premier League. And he scored his first Premier League goal against Manchester United in now that 5-3 win.
5-3,
yeah. So it's a favorite place for him. But also you also look at the Leicester players, and almost a lot of their players have been linked to Manchester United in one way or another in the past. So they have a lot of motivation to play because they're playing somehow as an audition. You look at Kasper Schmeichel, he's been linked there for the longest time. You look at Harry Maguire, he was the subject of a £56 million bid at the beginning of the season. So for some it's an audition, and they know how to take it to these big teams. You saw what they did to Manchester City, you saw what they did to Chelsea. It's a very, very strong team to play against, as Onesma said.
All right, let's take a look at the last 5 games of the Foxes, who have only managed 1 win in their last 5 and winless in the last 4 games, despite that positive result against Liverpool.
The game against Liverpool, it was down to how well they worked, and how well they worked in tough conditions, because you remember it was snowy from the first match. And you can't also forget that they were down in less than 2 minutes, actually 3 minutes, right? And they came back before the end of the first half. Maguire with that perfect goal. And to be very honest, Maguire and Morgan, as good as defensive partnership comes in.
Even Evans, Johnny Evans. What about Johnny Evans?
He's somewhere there, but you just have to feel that these two have shown that they can work well. They know how, they understand each other very well, because you remember that title winning season. It was Morgan with that with goals towards games that they were almost losing, and he led the team quite well. Maguire is proven to be a top defender in the Premier League, and especially for England. I just feel that the only reason he was not transferred over this window is that he's English, and as we know, English players tend to be very expensive when they are being sold in the domestic market. And that said, you just have to feel that this is a potential banana skin for Manchester United.
All right, let's look at the last 5 games of Manchester United, who have managed to score 10 goals in that run. 4 wins, 1 draw in the last game, but they've only leaked 4 goals.
Yes, and you look at, because I always say you're only as good as your last game, and that draw against Burnley was almost a loss if Lindelof hadn't gotten that equalizer. And the general consensus amongst fans and pundits alike is that Ole Gunnar sometimes takes unnecessary risks. He changed his central defensive pairing, who had played very well against Arsenal, and he brought in back Phil Jones against Burnley, and he didn't play as well perhaps. So you'll be thinking, if he plays the squad he played against Arsenal, defensively he might have more shape. But then that brings in the second question. How do you play against Leicester if you're Manchester United? Remember, Solskjaer's Manchester United is playing like the Manchester United of old. They're not really possessing their ball. They're taking their chances. They're being clinical when they score. But the funny thing is, that's also Leicester's game. So, how do you play? Do you counter-attack against Leicester? Do you let them have the ball? Probably Leicester will give you back the ball and say, take it. Because you also want to counter-attack against you. So it's a nightmare for a coach, because you know that these are the tools they are going to use, and these are the tools we are going to use. So you have to get something that will tip the difference. And the difference that was in the first leg was Paul Pogba, who at that time had been given the captaincy. Right now, he can be the difference again. We were just poring over his stats, and we saw he already has 9 goals this season for Manchester United, which is more than most strikers in the EPL right now. He can get amongst the goals, but more importantly, he can create goals. He can build up play. So it will be a very tricky game. And this is the game where you expect all the big name players, the Pogbas, the Lukakus, the Rashfords, to turn up if Manchester United are to get 3 points or even a point, because traveling to Leicester is very hard.
All right. Let's look at the odds of that game. Leicester versus Manchester United, with Leicester having an odd of 3.90, draw going for 3.50, and Manchester United quite high, 2.05. Onesmus?
I'm surprised it's 2.05 and not 2.5. This won't be an easy
You expected
fixture.
at 2.5?
Yeah. It won't be an easy fixture because Leicester have what it takes to stop these big boys. And I just feel this match will end in an over 2.5. To whose direction, I can't tell.
Over 2.5.
Yeah.
Steve?
Under 2.5.
What is this with you with the under? He says over, you say under. Tell us, why are you contradicting Onesmus?
No, there is no script that we are supposed to both read in unison. We are analysts and we all have divergent views. And he has justified his. Allow me to justify
yours.
mine. And I strongly feel that Leicester will take a very defensive pose against Manchester United.
Will they get a goal
They can't
on the
get
counter
a goal.
against that Manchester
Against
United?
Manchester United on the counter is quite hard.
Personally, exactly. So you people are even answering my question for it. It's very hard for Manchester United, for Leicester to get a goal on the counter against Manchester United. But on the same vein of form, Manchester United will also struggle to create and score goals against Leicester. In that case, this game might be decided either by an individual mistake or an error, or it might not be decided at all. It will end in a draw. So for me, I strongly feel this is not the goal-filled game that everybody is spitting it out to be. Perhaps the Old Trafford game, which ended 2-1.
But Steve, you
ended up being like that.
just have to look at this thing and feel that Leicester will get a goal, and definitely, as we have seen, Manchester are not good enough defensively to win games at 1-0. So Manchester will most likely go for more than one goal, and Leicester might sneak in a goal. So whatever it ends, don't be deceived by the Liverpool-Leicester game. There was another opponent in the name of Snow. It really slowed up the game, and passes were not going in the right directions, as we all know, with frozen grounds. But we are looking at this game, and you just have to feel that Vardy will get a goal, and Rashford will also get a goal.
So you're hinting on a GG there.
Yeah, and whenever Gigi comes in, then an over 2.5 is almost
It's quite likely,
definite. And again, when a team is on form like Manchester is, something happens with luck. We saw what kind of penalty Lingard got. Because they're on form, you just have to feel it was destined to end up in a draw after the way Manchester United were playing. So for this game, an over 2.5 is almost a certain bet, to be honest.
For me, I'll just wait, and I will wait to be vindicated.
On Sunday,
Yes.
we'll wait and see.
He'll go to church very early, I know.
Pray to your God. All right, Steve settles for under 2.5, and Onesimus settles for over 2.5, and he also hinted on a GG there, so you can pick from the three choices that you have been given here.